we're here with Mr. Nick James, absolute legend, founder of Expert Empires, my favorite event on the planet. It's an event that I bought a VIP ticket to every single year for 3 years. I'm speaking at it this year, which I'm really, really excited about. But I could not speak more highly of the type of content that you get at this event. If you're an expert, coach, consultant, course creator, speaker, author, and anything where you sell the expertise that are inside your head, it is absolutely incredible. And Nick is the founder, and I would love you to give your synopsis of what Expert Empires is, and also dive into what's in the background, because many people who haven't been to Expert Empires don't know that there's more in the background. There's the masterminds and everything as well. So take from here, Nick.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for such a lovely intro, Neil. Really appreciate it. And of course, it's been great, really, to have been a small part of your journey. And I remember meeting you at Expert Empires a few years back now. Which was the first one that you came to?
So it was 2018, I believe. Was it Grant Cardone was the first one?
Grant Cardone was headlining, yeah. So yeah, I mean, you've I think we ran 2 before that. So you've been to a lot of our events, and it's been great to see you at those events and be a small part, as I say, of your journey, and excited to see you take the stage, of course, at our upcoming event. I think the content you're going to share is going to be really impactful and really relevant to our audience. So yeah, excited about that. I guess to answer your question, the whole concept of the Expert Empires event brand really came from, I suppose it was probably born from a little bit of frustration that I'd spent a lot of time and money flying all over the world so that I could learn business marketing from the best on the planet. And but I was frustrated that there didn't really seem to be the opportunity to do that in the UK on our home shores, if you like. So really the concept behind Expert Empires was bringing the wisdom of some of the best speakers when it comes to marketing, when it comes to growing a business, when it comes to growing an expert business specifically, bringing that to the UK. And then the second part of it, I guess, was also a frustration of what I'd observed and experienced the UK events industry had become, which was, and I'm sorry to say, but it had become a space where there was a lot of free events that were billed as highly valuable, but you come for free, and then basically you just get sold hard for 2 days, 3 days. And so, the concept behind Expert Empires was really for it to be the antithesis of that, where we brought, and we continue to bring the best speakers from all over the world, that it's highly geared around implementable, actionable strategies and tactics that you can put into place in your business straight away. And that it isn't a 2-day pitch fest, basically. And like I say, I can definitely credit a number of people, Ryan Deiss being one of them, who's spoken at a number of our events, speaking at the next one, of course, alongside you in April. And Ryan created Traffic and Conversion Summit, which is one of the events that I'd spent so much time and money traveling to in San Diego for a number of years, still do. Planning on going over again next year for that. And so really the vision was to create something as high quality in the UK that really stood for similar values, which was around really delivering world-class content and training to people who I feel need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've all been to those free events and gone, man, this just looks absolutely incredible. And then you go there and it is just an absolute pitch fest. But Expert Empires, for me, has always been the opposite. Whenever there has been some opportunity to buy, to be honest, I've actually ended up buying because I've actually thought this looks awesome and I've gone for it. And funnily enough, one of the things that I bought at Expert Empires was a course in how to get onto your dream stages. And then here I am, my number one dream stage when I started the coaching side of the business was to speak at Expert Empires, and happy days, we're finally there.
Here we are.
But one of the most impactful things that I ever came across at Expert Empires, the very first event I went to was, I think it was your first talk, but it might have been your second one. And it was all around scaling your expert business through identifying £10 tasks, £100 tasks, and £1,000 tasks. And I would just love, because it's something that still to today, I would say around once a month, I get a pad and pen out and I write £100 tasks, £10 tasks, £100 tasks, £1,000 tasks, and I identify anything that I might have even started adding back in again so that I can start removing them again and delegating them from there. So I'd love you to run through that with the audience because it's so impactful.
Yeah, of course, for sure. And I do think that when I first learned about it, like you, had massive impact on me. What I realized is that it really isn't possible to scale a business, any business, without adopting this philosophy in some way, shape, or form. And effectively, the philosophy is that there are different types of task that you as the business owner can be performing at any given time. And £10 tasks are, and of course, this translates internationally, that the currency is irrelevant. The concept is
$11 tasks.
$10 tasks, $100 tasks, $1,000 tasks. Effectively, a £10 task is something that, in effect, you could get somebody else to do for a relatively insignificant amount of money, because it isn't something that requires a lot of experience, a high degree of skill, and you as the business owner, quite frankly, don't need to be doing that. So £10 tasks in my business would be basic admin, data entry. It might be fielding incoming emails. Right now, we're just packing up literally hundreds of packs to send out to people that are attending our event in a couple of weeks' time. I've just been over in we've actually got our own training venue, which of course is pretty much empty at the moment. We're just using it as a makeshift studio for virtual events. And the team are over there packing up boxes to send out. These are £10 tasks. £100 tasks are things that require more expertise, skill, training in order to be able to perform. So again, as an example, in my business, these would be things like writing copy. These would be things like running ads, building funnels, making sales calls. I can't just get somebody in on £10, $10 an hour to do those things. They need training. They need to be they need to be developed, and they need to build their skill set in that arena through experience. So these are what we call £100 tasks. And at a £100 task level, the chances are that they have some direct impact on revenue in the business. And £1,000 tasks are the highest value tasks that you could do in the business. Things that you as the business owner are probably the only person, or one of the only people qualified to do it. They're probably high impact and high income generating. And so, again, these might be things like creating content, doing podcasts. It might be standing on stage at an event, in my case. It might be writing a book. It might be making high ticket sales. It might be performing or delivering services for clients that only you can do. You haven't got anybody else in the business to do that yet. And it's not an exact science, because, of course, at some point, you will gradually, as you grow and scale your business, you'll gradually remove yourself from the £10 tasks first, then the £100 tasks, and you get to a point for ultimate scale of business where you even need to remove yourself from £1,000 tasks. So, for example, in one of my businesses, I suppose you would have to call them £10,000 tasks, where I'm not even creating content. I'm not making any sales. I'm not doing any of the delivery for the clients. I have somebody else, a partner in that business, that does all of that for me. So really, I suppose the process of growing and scaling a business, to simplify it, this is an oversimplification, is the process of gradually removing yourself from the operational tasks, starting with £10 tasks, because they're the ones that are easiest for you to let go of and that'll cost you the least to get somebody else to perform, and then 100 for the same reason. And ultimately, you know, you want to get to the point when you're only doing £1,000 tasks. And ultimately, if you want to have complete freedom and get out of the operational day-to-day work in the business completely, then you bring in somebody else or other people that can do £1,000 tasks too. But I think that the growing and scaling of a business is really the gradual letting go of responsibility. That's how I'd summarize that whole piece.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Huge impact on me since I went through your training with that. One question I've always wanted to ask you about that system, because my wife puts it down to laziness, is £10 tasks. Do they go outside of business? Like, should you be writing down the things that take up time that somebody else could be doing, but it's in general life, like cleaners and so on and so forth?
Great question. So for me, this is my personal opinion. This philosophy applies into your whole life. So forget business for a second and think about your family life. For me, I got to be really, really careful because my wife might listen to this.
And I already regretted what I just said.
So all right, let's think about it this way. So things like we just had the gate at the front of the house just broke. Me phoning the company to come out and fix it is a £10 task. Well, actually, phoning the company to fix it is a £10 task. So I will not be the person doing that. I wasn't the person that did that. Now, interestingly, my assistant in the business who gets paid by the business is the person that does that task. She's also the person that arranges when the gardener comes or paying the cleaner or all of this stuff, because those are £10 tasks. Now, it's interesting that you use the word laziness because I think it's really important as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, if you're serious about growing and scaling, you have to become acutely aware and protective of your time so that you can work in the first instance on revenue generating activity. Anything that isn't revenue generating, it's a £10 task, you should give to somebody else. So, which is why I always say your first hire or hires, probably if you're in the early stages, are going to be people to take on the £10 tasks. Now, there are certain things in your personal life that should not be outsourced or delegated out to somebody else. And it's down to, and there's a balance between what's a £10 task and what is going to make for a harmonious family life and relationship, different things, right? So I sometimes wind up doing £10 tasks, not because I want to, not because it's a good use of my time, but because it's important to Nat. It's important to my wife. So I'll do the £10 tasks. She'll listen to this and go, no, you don't. You're a liar. We'd have different perspectives on this. Now, but even then, I think it's good. It's a good practice to audit your time in your personal life as well. So you go, like for me, spending time taking my kids to football training, you could argue it's a £10 task, but really it's a £1,000 task because they're going to grow up and one day I'm going to regret missing that. So like literally, mate, tonight. So actually, this is a really good practical example. So my son, my oldest son, he's 11. He's got football training tonight. I don't actually know where it is yet. That's how bad I am at organising myself. But so I'm taking him and one of his mates because sometimes the other parents take Zach and sometimes I take the other kids, like so that we can share the load. So tonight he needs to be at football training for, I think it's 6:30, which is really tight for me to get from the office home and then get to football training. So my wife, she's an amazing woman. Let me just get that out of the way because it's true. She's going and collecting his mate, bringing him back to our house. Then she's bringing both of the kids to the office so that I can still take them to football training. Like there's a line that gets drawn in our household. Me getting her to do all of it is not acceptable. So I'll take them to football training. But I also go, look, seriously, for me to leave the office like 2 hours earlier to be able to get home, go and pick up his mate, get back home, get to like that just doesn't make any sense. So we've got an arrangement that keeps that allows me to be a dad and not miss out on stuff, but also is protective over my time, because the fact is, you know, I'm here doing this podcast episode with you. It's £1,000 task. When we're done, I've got a conversation with somebody about enrolling in our 7-figure mastermind, which is 20 to 25 grand investment. Is it more important for me to have that conversation or to go and, you know, to spend an hour running around ferrying, picking up kids? So, so there's a balance though, because if I take this to the complete extreme and go, I'm never doing any of that, then first of all, it's going to cause problems in my household. And second of all, I'm going to miss out on stuff like of being around my kids and seeing them grow up. So I think there's got to be a balance. And look, I'm not going to say to you that I've got this 100% in check. Funny enough, the question I thought you were going to ask me is, do you do any £10 tasks yourself, Nick? And the truth and the answer would be yeah. And I don't know a single person on the planet that doesn't. But the key is how much of it do I manage to delegate, outsource, get off my plate? A pretty high amount, so that, you know, the amount of £10 tasks I'm doing now are so insignificant, it's almost zero. And when I do, it's a conscious choice of my own, which I think is a bit different. So yeah, I mean, but I do think auditing your personal time and your business time, because the fact is, it's your time as a business owner. In the chances are, again, employee mindset is very much 9 to 5 or whatever the working hours are. Business owner entrepreneur mindset is like, there is no on and off switch a lot of the time. We get the freedom to switch off when we want, but we also have the opposite problem, which is we don't switch off enough. And so we're always in work mode a lot of the time. So I think it's really important to audit your personal and your business time. And I was running a mastermind meeting earlier this week for our clients, and this really came up. And, you know, there's some of them who are like aggressively growing their businesses. They've gone from like, you know, making just a solid full-time income from the business to like multi-6 figures in annual revenue. And they're going, this is great, but I am knackered. Like, and I'm going, you got to make time to sleep. You got to make time for your family. You've got, otherwise it's just not sustainable. So yeah, I think auditing your personal time and the time you spend in the business, what you've done, and it's amazing to me, because the amount of times I say this at my events and when I'm training, and I know most people don't do it, is I go like regularly, pen and paper, write down all the tasks you're doing, decide which fits into £10, £100, £1,000 task category. And then at the very least, depending on what stage in business you're at, but at the very least, get those £10 tasks delegated, outsourced, off your plate as best you can. And then the key is to ensure that you use that time effectively and reinvest it in, as far as the business goes, revenue generating activity, 1,000 or at the very least £100 tasks. And also, of course, like, use it in the areas that really count and really matter, like making sure you never miss your kids' football training or match, or taking them horse riding, or whatever it is they do. Because, you know, I'm 38 years of age. I've got 2 kids. They're 8 and 11. And I know already how quickly they grow up. And it won't be that long until I'm having this conversation with you or somebody like you again, Neil, and I go, they've left home and now they don't need me. And I'll miss that. So I think it's important. I've always made a point to prioritize that when I can, but not to the extreme where I go, yeah, I basically spend half my life being a taxi for my kids, and then the business suffers as a result. It's finding that, I hate using the term balance because it doesn't really exist. It's an illusion, but it's finding that harmony. I think it's probably a better word to describe it. Finding that harmony between the two is the the key, the magic formula, if you can.
Yeah. And I absolutely love something you said there. I want to emphasize it for anybody who's listening here, which is if you remove £10 tasks, you need to find £100 task or £1,000 task or something meaningful to replace that time with. It's something that I've seen so many times with different coaches out there where they finally put the stuff in action to remove those £10 tasks, and they find new £10 tasks to replace them. And it's like, yeah, I think we're all sort of guilty of it, especially people that came up from like no money, no trust funds and stuff. We sort of associate being busy with running a successful business in a sense. So it's like, if we actually buy back some time so we can finally get 8 hours of sleep, we feel lazy, and we've got that connotation of laziness. Whereas I just watched a video this morning where last night, where Jeff Bezos was like founder, owner, Amazon. He says he sleeps 8 hours every single night. And the other thing that he always does is the dishes after dinner.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Why would, that's so cool. I love hearing stuff like that. But
yeah.
Like, why would Jeff Bezos do the dishes after dinner? Well,
Family.
that might be something that keeps harmony in the home. And two, maybe it's something he goes, you know what? He's like one of, if not the, I believe now, wealthiest man on the planet. Like, it's important to stay humble as well.
Yeah.
So actually, now, would it be a good idea for him to spend all of his 5-6 hours a day doing housework? No, of course it wouldn't. That'd be stupid. But sometimes a little bit of £10 task work keeps you humble, which I think is also really, really key, really, really important to keep you grounded as you grow. One thing I didn't mention, Neil, as well is all of this is down to timing. And so I think for those listening, it's important to realize that there is a point at which it is appropriate for you to do the £10 tasks, the £100 tasks, and the £1,000 tasks. Like, when I started my business in 2008, I had no money. I had to do all of it. And it wouldn't have been smart or appropriate at that time for me to hire somebody, because it, quite frankly, wouldn't have been fair to them, because I was not a good, maybe, I mean, it turns out probably would have been a good bet, but right back then, for somebody to say, yeah, they're going to give me their time, like, I wouldn't have been able to guarantee I'd have been able to pay them. So I think when you're starting out, it's appropriate for you to do the £10 tasks. But as soon as you get to the point when you're generating steady, regular income, get rid of those £10 tasks, get them off your plate as quickly as you possibly can. And then with all of these strategic decisions, it's always a timing thing. That, like, is it a good idea to run Facebook ads to promote your business? Yeah, probably. But is it relevant and a good idea for where you are, what industry you're in, for the stage of growth you're at? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, which is why I detest one size fits all advice where they go, this is the thing that everybody should be doing. Like, look, the fact is, it's based largely upon the stage in growth you're in, what your unique skill sets are, or what I often say your genius is, what you love doing most, what industry you operate in. You take all of these factors and more, and then go, right, based on that, what do we think is the best strategy for you and your business right now? So I think you've got to be, I'm always wary of one size fits all advice where it's like, hey, everyone should be doing this. Like, really?
Which is when we've been tagged by Facebook as interested in business and entrepreneurship and things, you'll be the same as me. Every third advert that comes in is never saying, by the way, just to let you know, it's a lot simpler than you thought. It's always, I've discovered the only way that you can generate high ticket sales in 2021. It's always the only way. It's a one size fits all. And it's just an absolute recipe for disaster. One size fits all. I hate it.
And if it was true that it was the only way, then nobody else would be achieving that result with any other method at all. So it's just not true. And like I said, I do think it's largely down to, like, for example, if we were to say, you should start a podcast, right? I started a podcast last year. You've been running your podcast, don't know how long for. It's been a really good strategy for me, really good. But should somebody who's not yet really nailed their message, or hasn't yet built an audience, or has no idea about how to technically start a podcast, would that be the smartest move, the best way for them to get the message out there? Probably not. They might have they might be a brilliant writer. So maybe it'd be smarter for them to try and get their message out via a blog or writing a book or any of these other written media, even just by posting on LinkedIn, on Facebook, platforms that are probably more applicable to the written word than maybe an Instagram or Clubhouse, which like you'll get found out really, really quickly on Clubhouse because you've got nothing other than your voice. So if you can't elegantly and eloquently arrange your thoughts and deliver it with impact through your voice, you're going to die on Clubhouse. So I just don't think there's any one size fits all advice. Anyone says that Clubhouse, everyone should be on it, or everyone should run Facebook ads or be on Instagram or write a book or start a podcast. I'm like, look, for a start, it's impossible to do all of those things at once. So let's work out what your genius is, what industry you're in, what stage of business you're at, all of these things together, and go, what's the best strategy for you in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. And podcasting specifically as well. As you know, podcasting is big for me. It's big for you. But most people think podcasting is a way to get discovered. And it's very difficult to get discovered through podcasts if you don't hit the discover platform, which I don't think I ever did. I don't think I ever did. And I said to you before you even came on, I was like, look, it's not like we've got hundreds of thousands of downloads, but the people who are listening are, coaches who want to scale. And for me, it's all about the quality of the listen, being engaged for usually over 30 minutes at a time. And I almost never sell to anybody high ticket coaching who hasn't, but not by choice, but they have always listened to at least one episode of the podcast. And that's the power of it for me. But coaches who are just starting out, who don't have an audience and haven't refined their message, who go, I'll just make a podcast and that'll be where the business just absolutely flies. It's not the way. It isn't.
Listen, if you haven't got an audience, you're starting from scratch, your podcast is probably going to get one download and it's going to be you. It's your own podcast. Yeah. Now, maybe I'm being harsh, but we're talking like double figures, 10, 20 people listening to it. Maybe the people, your friends, your family, whatever. Like, it is a hard platform to get traction on unless you've got an existing audience. You've got an existing audience like I have, like you have, like you can fly out the gate. But even now, like you, Neil, I don't believe I've reached much of a new audience yet through the podcast, and we've been running it nearly a year. We haven't really reached much of a new audience, but what I have done is I've deepened the relationship with my existing audience, and that has, without a shadow of a doubt, led to hundreds of thousands of pounds in sales via what we call trickle down revenue. So I think, and again, we're getting into podcasts as a specific strategy or a specific platform, but I feel the same about all of them, which is, it depends upon a number of factors as to which one's the right one for you.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Right. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. As I said to you at the start, I know how difficult the time is as you're moving up in towards an event which isn't far away. So if you could actually tell everybody...
But bear in mind, being on this podcast is £1,000 task. So it's time well spent. I'm happy to do that.
But if you could give a bit of an overview of what's coming for EE Global 2021, that would be absolutely awesome, because I truly believe, and this isn't just a pitch, because I bought a VIP ticket every single year up until this year when I'm speaking on the stage. So genuinely, I couldn't speak highly enough of it. But take it away. What's happening at EEG 2021?
Yeah, of course. Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to share, and I won't take long. So Expert Empires Global is the first time that we've taken the Expert Empires events that Neil has attended and has spoken so highly of, and really made it available to a global audience. The gift that we've chosen to find and see in this global pandemic is that we can't do our large scale in-person events as we would normally do here in the UK. So Expert Empires Global is really the first time that we've opened up the doors to a global audience, and you're able to attend it virtually from literally anywhere in the world. As usual, we've assembled a superstar lineup of speakers. So we've got Lisa Nichols, who was one of the stars of the blockbuster movie The Secret, Marie Forleo, who wrote the New York Times bestseller, Everything is Figure Outable. We've got Ryan Deiss, who for me is probably the number one digital marketing expert on the planet. So we've got an incredible lineup. But I think what's more important than the incredible lineup is actually the deep dive content rich workshops that we're going to be delivering. So as well as the headliners, as well as the keynote presentations, we've actually got, I think it's 10 or 11 now, deep dive workshops being delivered, one of which is being delivered by Neil, on how to use free and paid challenges to generate a lot more leads, make a lot more sales in your business. And by the way, Expert Empires has been created specifically for coaches, consultants, speakers, trainers, authors, agency owners, anyone who runs a business based on their expertise. So we've got lots of these deep dive workshops on topics like how to start, grow, scale your own mastermind program, how I'm getting a 5-to-1 return on investment via direct mail campaigns. We've got sessions on how to start and monetize a #1 podcast, if that's something you're into. We're going to unpack book funnels. We've got loads of different deep dive content rich workshops happening over the 2 days. And as Neil has said, and as I've said before, it's not one of those events where it's sell, 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 sell. We have, out of the speakers, we have probably less than, like 10% of them. So like only 2 or 3 throughout the whole 2 days that have a product or service for you to even think about purchasing. And you can rest assured that the way that is done is very elegantly and non-hypey. So I think, I hope that when you attend Expert Empires Global, you will learn to love it as much as Neil has done over the years. And of course, he's now speaking on stage, and I'm really excited for you to share that message with our audience. So the place where they can go, and I want to make sure you have a unique link, Neil, I believe. What is that link? I want to make sure that I don't give the generic link and they get your link.
I will post it below the YouTube video. I'll post it below in the description of the Apple iTunes and everything. And if you're listening on Spotify, because I don't have an option there, you can just go to the generalized link. Cool.
So make sure you use Neil's link if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on iTunes or anything like that. But you can go to expertempires.com/tickets to get all the details. And you'll see on that page, we've got a number of different ticket levels available. Neil says he always used to invest in it actually wasn't the VIP ticket, it was the Access All Areas ticket, I believe.
That was the one, yeah.
The top level ticket with opportunities to have private Q&As with the headline speakers, all that kind of stuff, which we are doing at Expert Empires Global again, as usual. So yeah, get yourself over to the link, get your ticket purchased. The earlier you do it, the better deal you get on the ticket. So would love to see you there. What I'll say in closing about this event is I have committed on more than one occasion and said this repeatedly over the last few weeks and months. This will be the greatest virtual event you have ever seen or experienced. And I'm now putting myself under a huge amount of pressure to actually deliver on that. I've spent, just so you're aware, I've spent 6 figures just to produce this event on speaker fees, on studio, on tech, to make it the best experience possible. We've got, as I mentioned earlier, hundreds of physical packs that are being packed up by our team to be sent out all over the world. They're going out immediately. So with lots of goodies in them as well. So yeah, we're pulling out all the stops to put on a great show. And I think you'll love it. So yeah, make sure you click on Neil's link, either in the comments below the YouTube video or in the description of all the show notes on iTunes. And if not, of course, go to expertempires.com/tickets to get your ticket booked, and look forward to seeing you there.
Brilliant. And just 2 wee side notes there. First of all, when the live events do come back, everybody go and get the Access All Areas ticket, 100% for that, because you end up having dinner with a bunch of other people who have got the same ticket, but also dinner with some of the headline speakers. I was literally shoulder to shoulder with Neil Patel at the last one, discussing how he spends his Sundays with his wife, cooking and going for walks, which was just mind-blowing to me. And the second thing I actually thought about, I don't know if you follow UFC, but Dana White, when he's always like, so today's, if you don't know now, you know, and he's always going through some of the fights that people might not know about, but you absolutely should. And I need to point out somebody that you've got speaking that is just honestly one of the best speakers I've ever seen at Traffic and Conversion Summit. I can't wait for him to be at EE, is Roland Frasier. Absolutely sensational speaker. What you get from him, you're just like, I'm going to have to watch a replay of this. Like, it's just absolutely mind-blowing. So I need to point him out for anybody that gets their ticket. Unmissable session, Roland Frasier.
Yeah, he's a genius. And I mean, has built and I use the word deliberately, a portfolio of companies, but he's an absolute genius when it comes to growing and scaling via acquisition. He's actually given me advice. I've sat in masterminds with him and learned about that from him directly. And yeah, I think, you know, Roland's just another one of our amazing speakers. But yeah, get yourself over to the website and you'll see the lineup and who you're going to learn from. It's very exciting. I'm looking forward to putting on a great show at the first International Expert Empires Global event.
Absolutely awesome. Right. Well, thank you so much, Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure to share this virtual stage with you, and I'll be sharing another virtual stage with you in a couple of weeks. Can't wait for it. Everybody go hit the description below, get your ticket to the event. You're not going to regret it. Absolutely life-changing for me. And if you're in an expert business as well, which every single listener is, go through, get that ticket. You will not regret it.